Hello, dear students. We have been studying the famous Elegy written in a country churchyard by Thomas Gray. It is a meditative poem and it is occasioned by the sight of tombs of poor villages in a country churchyard. Gray muses about the uneventful life that the simple village folk lead. We have finished up till stanza 13, but let us recollect what we have studied earlier. So, the opening stanza sets the atmosphere of the poem. The curfew tolls to announce the day is ended, and all the activities of the day comes to an end. Then he captures the twilight graphically through sights and sounds. The solemn silence is distributed all over the place and it is disturbed occasionally by the hooting of the owl from a distant church. And in this brooding silence, the poet turns his attention to the solitary country churchyard where the ancestors of the village lay buried under the trees. Then, then he captures the sounds of early morning breeze, the chirruping of swallows, the crowing of the cock, the horn of the huntsman. And he says, none of these sounds can bring the dead villagers back to life. Then he describes the simple domestic joys like sitting by the fireside, the company of the wife and children. All these are denied forever to the dead villagers. While alive, these villagers had worked hard to earn their livelihood. They reaped the harvest, plowed the field, they drove the cattle on the field, and has cut down trees and woods. And he requests the ambitious people not to laugh at the obscure fate of the villages. And because death makes no discrimination between the rich and the poor, the mighty and the weak, the beautiful and the ugly. So let not the proud people find fault with the poor rustics, even if their friends have not raised monuments to perpetuate their memory. And the poet observes that no memorial or urn or what a lifelike statue or words of flattery can bring the dead back to life. And the poet just thinks that maybe in an insignificant spot of the churchyard, there may be buried a man who had the potential to become a great poet or a mighty conqueror. Now we come to stanza 13. But knowledge to their eyes her ample page, rich with spoils of time, did never unroll. But knowledge, see the capitalization of the word K. Here, knowledge is personified. Okay, knowledge has filled her pages with ample knowledge. Okay, knowledge has filled her pages. It has collected the wisdom of each and every age and it is preserved for the posterity or the future generation to learn. But knowledge to their eyes means the eyes of the rustic, the poor village people. They didn't have any access to the knowledge because of their poverty. But knowledge to their eyes, her ample page. Knowledge is very rich. It has collected the wisdom of ages, rich with the spoils of time. Here, Gray borrows the image from war. Here is a figure of speech from war. Okay, every conqueror, after conquering a particular land, a particular territory, or a particular place, what they do first is they would collect all the spoils. Spoils means what? The wealth of that nation. It can be the animals, it can be the money, it can be uh, gold, or it can be precious other metals or gems, or anything like that. It is known as the spoils. Okay, spoils, that is, knowledge has actually collected wisdom from every age and has put together all wisdom together for the future age to enjoy. But this knowledge was inaccessible to the poor country people. It didn't unroll here. Unroll here means, in ancient days, records were kept in rolls, okay, and which it had to be unrolled and read. And here, knowledge never revealed herself before these poor rustics. So they were denied the chance to learn. They had no access to learn or to understand the rich uh, things that were contained in the roles of knowledge. Okay, here knowledge is personified. But knowledge to their eyes means the eyes of the rustics, the eyes of the village people. But knowledge to their eyes, her ample page. Ample means there is enough amount of information, enough amount of wisdom. Her ample page, rich with the spoils of time. Knowledge has enriched itself across time. Rich with the spoils of time, did never unroll. Chill penury repressed their noble rage and froze their genial current of the soul. Chill penury. Here is also another personification. Chill. Chill means what? Cold, unfriendly. Okay. Penury means poverty. So this penury, that is poverty, has repressed their noble rage. Actually, they may be inspired, they may be passionate to learn new things, but poverty repressed their passions, their inspiration to learn. Chill penury, repressed means suppressed. Okay, chill penury, that is, this chill here means cold, that is unfriendly. Okay, chill penury, penury here means poverty. Chill penury repressed their noble rage. Here, chill penury also, there is personification there. Chill penury repressed their noble rage and froze the genial current of their soul. And froze, here froze means what? It actually numbed or maravipikia. Okay, the genial current of their soul. So the current of their natural genius was frozen due to extreme poverty. Okay, they couldn't exercise their natural genius because they were very poor. So here you can, in this stanza, you can see two personification. Knowledge is personified and penury is also personified. Chill is the adjective that goes with penury. Okay. So, but knowledge to their eyes her ample page, rich with the spoils of time, did never unroll and froze the genial current of the soul. Here, Gray laments about the unfortunate nature of the rustics. Okay, knowledge remained a closed book to these rustics, and extreme poverty had a chilling effect on their natural talents. So we move to the next stanza. Full many a gem of purest ray serene, the dark, unfathomed caves of ocean bear. Full many a gem of pure ray serene. That is, many gems which are of very pure nature. Okay, that is the gems that allow rays to pass through. They are considered to be the purest gems. Okay, so many innumerable amount of gems lay buried under what? The deep depths. Unfathomed means what? Unfathomed means immeasurable, or you cannot be go deep, further deep. Okay, so full many a gem of purest ray serene, the dark unfathomed caves of ocean bear. So the ocean carries many gems which are still not excavated. They lay there unexcavated by the human beings. Full many a flower is born to blush unseen and waste its sweetness on the desert air. There are many flowers which are born to blush unseen. They bloom and nobody sees them. Okay, and they die out. Okay, and they waste their sweetness on the desert air. Okay, so there are many oceans that are to be excavated, and there are many flowers that blush and waste their beauty and fragrance in the desert without nobody to appreciate it. So the poet again wonders, or poet again thinks about the fate of the rustics, okay, whose talents remained unknown during their lifetime, like the pure gems which lay buried under the depths of the oceans, or like beautiful flowers which bloom in the wilderness of the desert. Now we move to the next stanza. Some village Hampden that with dauntless breast the little tyrant of his fields withstood. Okay, the picture of Hampden here, the reference is to John Hampden. He protested against an unjust tax called ship money imposed by King Charles I during the 17th century. Okay, he protested against the ship money. It was an unjust tax which was levied, uh, and he stood against that. So he was a politician, and Hamden stood against the tyrants. Okay, some village Hamden that with dauntless breast. Dauntless breast means without fearlessly. Okay, dauntless breast means fearlessly, like a Hamden who stood against the tyrant, that is Charles the First. The little tyrant of his fields withstood. Okay, the little tyrant, the rustics may have the ability, but they never got the opportunity. Okay, so Hamden, he is present in the pages of the history because of his fearlessness. There may be villagers who may actually have that fearlessness, that ability of being fearless, that ability of being courageous, but they died unknown. The little tyrant of his fields withstood. There may be people who, in their specific places, these rural villagers may have resisted the little tyrants of their own villages, but those stories are unwritten. Some mute in glorious Milton here may rest. Mute means dumb. Okay, dumb. Inglorious means what? Infamous, unfamous. Okay, there may be a poet who was not who did him who may not have got the opportunity to exercise his ability. Okay, so some mute, the rustic who lies buried is described as mute because he is unknown, he is not reputed. And Milton was a poet of many poetic talents, and this poet from the village, he was not able to give expression to his poetic gifts or become famous because by exercising his poetic talents because of the poor conditions. Some mute inglorious Milton here may rest. Some Cromwell guiltless of his country's blood. Some Cromwell. Here the reference is to Oliver Cromwell, and he was the leader of the parliamentary party in the 17th century, and he led a civil war against the royalists. Okay, which finally led to the execution of King Charles I in 1649. Then he became the Lord Protector. Okay, so some Cromwell guiltless of his country's blood. Even when Cromwell rose to power, even when Cromwell defeated Charles I, his arms were full of blood. Okay, his story was written in blood. Okay, but here there may be villagers who may have uh, got the abilities of Cromwell, but they don't have the guilt, they don't have the what guilt of conscience, manasakshi kuthilada kadakam, because they don't carry what the blood of the people they killed to rise to that position. Okay, so here again, in this stanza, uh, Gray compares the what dead villagers to great poet leaders or rulers, as they didn't get any opportunity, they didn't rise to power, but they can rest because they haven't killed anyone. They don't carry the stain of blood in their hands. The applause of listening senate to commands, the threats of pain and ruin to despise. This is a continuation of what we have said in the last stanza. The applause means the appreciation. Okay, the what people giving them applause. The applause of listening senates to command. The applause, the appreciation of the senators. Okay, that is the rulers who got great appreciation from the senators. Okay, the threats of pain and ruin to despise. Okay, the threats of pain and ruin to despise. So their the poor condition of the villagers prevented them from winning the praise and what appreciation of the Senate members in an assembly, and it also prevented them from becoming martyrs to some noble cause. Okay, they don't have to bear the pain, they don't have to be get despised, and they don't have the risk of suffering and destruction. Those who have rose to power, their history is written in blood. They had to suffer several threats, and they had to what they actually what sowed many destruction to scatter plenty over a smiling land and read their history in a nation's eyes. To scatter plenty here means to bring peace and plenty in a prosperous land. That is, these rulers who rule the land, okay, the rulers who rule the land bring peace to their land at the cost of what bloodshed, what sufferings and pain. Okay, but these villagers are denied these opportunities. Even when they are denied opportunities, they can be they can leave this world without any guilt of conscience, because they don't have the blood of the stain of blood in their hands. So the applause of listening senates to command, the threats of pain and ruin to despise, to scatter plenty. Here's to scatter plenty here means to bring prosperity and peace. To scatter means vidarga. To scatter plenty over a smiling land. Smiling land here means what again, a personification. Okay, smiling land. Okay, in order to bring prosperity to the land. So, and read their history in a nation's eyes. So these great people have uh, gone through tremendous pain and suffering in order to achieve their position and in order to be a part of the history. So the history of their land actually records their achievements, but their achievements are gained at the threats of pain and despise. So um, here, Gray describes what the villagers were unable to achieve. Okay, their glory, their fame, the glory and fame of great leaders or the great makers of history. Actually, they have won this fame and glory. They have been made immortal in the pages of history, and because they have undergone great pain and great despise. But these villagers haven't got the opportunity to become famous or become a part of the history, but still they can console themselves because they don't have the threat of pain and ruin. Okay, now we move to the next stanza. Their Lord forbade nor circumscribed alone their growing virtues but their crimes confined. Okay, so here there is a continuation of what we have seen in the previous stanza. Their Lord forbade, their condition forbade means prevented, nor circumscribed alone their growing virtues but their crimes confined. Even though they were denied virtues by history, by people, but they can console themselves because their crimes were confined, crimes were limited, they didn't do much crimes. So even though they had limited achievement, their crimes also were limited, so they can console themselves. Forbade to wade through, their Lord forbade nor circumscribed alone their growing virtues, but their crimes confined. Forbade to wade through slaughter to a throne and shut the gates of mercy on mankind. So forbade to wade through. Here wade through means what? Wading means walking through water is wading. Okay. So these villagers didn't have to walk through the river of blood. Okay. The here water is compared to blood. They didn't have to walk through bloody paths. Wade through slaughter. Slaughter means what? Killings to achieve to get a throne. Throne means what? Simhasanam. Simhasanam നേടാൻ വേണ്ടി ചോരപ്പുഴ നീന്തി കടക്കേണ്ടി വന്നിട്ടില്ല ഈ വില്ലേജേഴ്സിന്. Even though they were denied many achievements, they didn't have to move through what? Killings to achieve the throne and shut the gates of mercy on mankind. And most of the rulers have to be what? Merciless. Okay, they shouldn't show any mercy. Mercy means karuna. Okay, so there are many things you have to sacrifice in order to be a ruler, in order to be a leader. Okay, you may have to kill many, you may have to commit several crimes, and you may be forced to show no mercy to even the deserving ones. But these villagers, even though they didn't achieve great heights, okay, their crimes were limited. They had the opportunity to show mercy to the deserving ones. So even though they were deprived the chances to win fame and glory, they were also saved from committing many crimes, which were of great heights, which were done by great rulers who find a specific space in the pages of history. And now moving to the next stanza. The struggling pangs of conscious truth to hide, to quench the blushes of ingenuous fame, or heap the shrine of luxury and pride with incense kindled at the muse's flame. The struggling pangs of conscious truth to hide, the struggling pangs. Pangs means pain. Okay, so conscious truth to hide. You know, a person who is famous or who becomes famous or who enjoys a position in society has to often hide the truth he knows. Okay, and hiding the truth one knows is really struggling, painful. Okay, the struggling pangs of conscious truth to hide. You know, the people who rises to power, the people who rise to power often are forced to what? Hide even the truth they know. And hiding the truth one knows is really painful, it is really struggling. Okay, so struggling to suppress or repress the truth they wanted to expose to the world, it was something very painful. Or heap the shrine of luxury and pride. Again we are here, we get a personification. Okay, so or heap the shrine of luxury and pride. So you know, with incense kindled at the muse's flame. So here the poet refers to the condition of poets during his times. Okay, the poets had to have good patrons in order to be famous. These patrons were often proud men. The rich men, they have to be rich as well as proud, and the poets had to satisfy or to flatter these proud rich men in order to become famous or heap the shrine of luxury. Here shrine means what? A small temple is known as shrine, or heap the shrine of luxury and pride. Here luxury and pride stands for the patrons whom the poets had to entertain in order to enter the portals of fame. Okay, or heap the shrine of luxury and pride with incense kindled at the muse's flame. Okay, so with incense kindled, in the shrine we often kindle incense. നമ്മൾ ഈ അഗർബത്തി കത്തിക്കത്തില്ലേ, അതിനെയാണ് ഇൻസെൻസ് കിൻഡിൽ, അതുപോലെ ചെയ്യുന്നതാണ്. Okay, so or heap the shrine of luxury and pride. Here, luxury and pride stands for the patrons of the poet with incense kindled at the muse's flame. Here, the reference of muse. Okay, the muses are nine goddesses. They are the daughters of Zeus and Mnemosyne. Okay, the great god Zeus and Mnemosyne. So these nine, often the muses often, especially the pastoral elegy, begins with an invocation to the muses. Muses are goddesses. There are nine goddesses, goddesses for epic poetry, different types of poetry. There are nine muses, and the poet who starts to write a poem has to seek the blessings of these muses. So similarly, the poets who are really talented has to entertain patrons who are the embodiments of luxury and pride. So the villagers, even though there may be poets among the villagers, even though there may be really talented men among the villagers, they couldn't rise to fame because they were poor. But those who got the opportunity, they rose to fame by compromising on many things. Okay, they had to actually flatter the rich and proud patrons, and the people who rose to fame had to hide truths which they knew. So often fame comes at a cost. So the poor people, the poor villagers, they were saved from the pain, they were saved from the agony of suppressing truths to please the high and mighty. And they didn't also have to belittle themselves by flattering the rich and the powerful. When you know, it is not so easy to flatter the rich and powerful in order to what gain what you need. So even though these poets are really talented, they have to get the patronage of the rich and the powerful. So these poets, they had to belittle themselves, demean themselves by flattering the rich and powerful. So these villagers are, even though they didn't get the opportunity, they are saved from this disgrace of what hiding the truth they know, or flattering the patrons with uh, what flatter the patrons who are the embodiments of luxury and pride. Okay, so that's all for today's class. We will see again. Okay, thank you.